Ancestry.com is one of the biggest genealogy websites. And there's a popular feature on Ancestry that can help you discover more ancestors, or it could completely ruin your family tree. I'm going to show you what that feature is, what to watch out for, and how you can use it effectively to find more of your family history. When you pull up a specific record on Ancestry.com, there's a lot going on that page. I've pulled up the 1910 federal census for William Skinner, the brother of my ancestor. Over on the left-hand part of the page, you can see that there's actually a digital image. A little bit of a bonus tip, always make sure that you click through to look at the actual image. There's almost always more information on there than what Ancestry has here in the middle part of the page, which is just the information that Ancestry has indexed from that record. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see this section called Suggested Records. Suggested Records is the feature I was talking about that can either lead to wonderful discoveries or can make a mess of your tree. Well, what are suggested records? They're not quite the same as the Ancestry hints. How Ancestry generates what they call the suggested records is by taking the information that they have indexed from this record that we're looking at and compare it to other records that they have on the site and find other records that have the same or similar information. But there's another way that Ancestry pulls records into this suggested records section, and that is by looking at people's family trees. So Ancestry looks at the family trees that have attached this 1910 federal census to a William Skinner, and then they take a look at, well, what else have these trees attached to William Skinner? And let's put some of those in the suggested records section. Think of it this way. It's kind of like your favorite online retailer. You know how sometimes you'll go online and you'll buy a sweater and it'll say, well, people who bought this sweater also bought this necklace? You think, wow, those really do go together. But sometimes you'll go on an online retailer and you'll buy a lamp and it will say, well, people who bought this lamp also bought these snowshoes. Not nearly as helpful. Suggested records are the same way. Sometimes they can be really good and sometimes they can be completely out in left field. The problem is that if you just go through the suggested records thinking that, oh, all of these must pertain to this William Skinner, and just start attaching them to your tree, well, those records that really don't pertain to your William Skinner, everything is going to start becoming a mess. You could end up attaching the wrong parents, you could attach the wrong spouse, you could have him being born or dying in a completely different place and time. I was curious about those suggested records that show up on this record for William Skinner in the 1910 census. Let's see how often they really do pertain to the William Skinner that I'm researching. First is the GeneNet community trees. Well, I can click through and I can see that, yes, the spouse is the same person and they have attached 4 children. And I can click through to see more of that family tree over on GeneNet. But for purposes of this video, I just want to see if the suggested records are pertaining to the William Skinner I'm researching. And this one does seem to be. The 1900 federal census is the right person. This 1880 federal census is the right person. The link to find a grave is the right person. However, this 1850 federal census is not the right person. It's a William Skinner born approximately the right time, and he is in the correct county, but I've already established which household my William Skinner was living in 1850, and this is not it. The Ohio County marriages, yes, this actually is his marriage to Mary Carter. The Ohio U.S. Births and Christenings Index, technically it's pertaining to the correct William Skinner, but this isn't his birth record, it's actually pertaining to his daughter's birth record. So you do have to be careful on that. The 1860 federal census is correct, and I've already attached that one to my tree. Let's take a look at that North Dakota state census, keeping in mind that my William Skinner was born in Ohio and died in Ohio. Now, it's totally possible that he lived for a time out in North Dakota, so I don't want to just ignore this. But when I take a look at this William Skinner in this North Dakota territorial census, I can see that he has a completely different wife and a completely different set of children. So unless William Skinner had one family in Ohio and then at the same time had another family out in the Dakota Territory, this is not my guy. So what about this Civil War profile? Sometimes you don't have enough information just from this record to tell whether or not it's the person that you're really interested in. But on this one, I do have enough information. I can see that it's listed that he died of disease and he did not survive the Civil War. Well, the Civil War ended in 1865 and my William Skinner died in 1919. So this is not the William Skinner that I'm researching. If you're enjoying this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe so that you can stay up to date with all of my genealogy and family history videos. All right, so as we've seen, it's kind of a mixed bag on those suggested records for this William Skinner that's showing up on his 1910 federal census. But how did I know which of those suggested records were for my William Skinner and which ones weren't? It's a matter of going into each specific record and comparing the information that's on that record to what you already know. It's why it's so important that as you're exploring your family tree, that you don't jump around a whole lot. You really try to learn as much as you can about a person. I already knew when and where William was born and when and where he died. I know his wife's name was Mary Carter, and I also know the names and birth dates of at least some of his children. So I can take that information, what I already know, what I'm already confident in, and compare that with what I'm seeing in these suggested records. That census out of the Dakota Territory in 1885 has a completely different wife and a completely different set of children. That tells me that this is not the William Skinner that I'm looking for. It just happens to be someone who has the same name. Whenever you're looking at a record on Ancestry, or really anywhere, you want to make sure that that record pertains to the person you're researching and not just someone who happens to have the same name. In this video here, I have some more tips to help you keep everyone straight. So go check that out and go make some great discoveries in your family history.